different types of primers, when you'd use them, how you use it, and what foundation works well with it. Hello lovely people, welcome to my channel, Hey Spring Chicken. My name is Cordelia, and for those of you that are returning, welcome back, thank you for coming. And those of you that are new here, we're all about living your best life, lifestyle beauty, particularly for the over 50s, or in my case, the over 60s. Today's topic, all the different types of primers, the primers that I use, the primers that you may use, why we even use a primer, is it worth the money? Because some can be very expensive. So today's topic is the different types of primers. I'm not going to be doing a product review. What we're actually going to do is we will look at the primers that I have, and I have one or two because I do like trying the different ones and see how they work with my skin. But we're not doing a product review, and I'm not sponsored by anyone, and I will put some of the links of the primers that I like, because I do have some favorites, and I will add them in the description box below. And if you click on that and you purchase from that link, I will receive a teeny tiny commission, for which thank you. What is a primer? I guess that's a good question. When I first came into beauty, they didn't necessarily always call it a primer. They called it a skin perfecting cream, which I have. Ren calls theirs, they've got a primer called a blank canvas. So a primer by any other name. Really what it's doing is it's prepping and priming your skin before you put your foundation on. It tends not to, no, it doesn't have an SPF factor in it. So it is just priming your skin. Today's primer is slightly different to the one I would normally use, but let's get into it. Hydration primers. So I have 4 that I use frequently. The NYX Hydra Touch was actually introduced to me by my daughter, and I've been a solid believer of it ever since, and I'm actually keeping this empty one for my empties, but I have a replacement of it. But the NYX Hydra Touch, it has a silicone in it, and so therefore it can be used for above your eyes, so you don't necessarily need to buy a separate primer. There are a lot more that you can spend a considerable amount for, and I have got one that I spent a considerable amount for, and I do not notice any difference in the primer quality. So don't feel that you have to spend £45–50 for your primer. Charlotte Tilbury. But
Charlotte Tilbury charging 50 quid for a primer.
I'm sure it's 45. Maybe I'm wrong. I will check on
45 quid for.
Maybe I'm wrong. Look, maybe
even
I'm
£30 for a primer is a bit of a.
The magic cream that she uses is
a bit of a. Oh my god.
I love Charlotte Tilbury. We will not have a bad word said about Charlotte Tilbury. I'm hydrating primers that I use. My 2 specific are the NYX and the Gosh, which is a drugstore foundation, a drugstore primer. So I'm going to show you what this actually looks like. We won't do it with all of the primers, but I'm going to show you with this, because this was a very reasonably priced primer. So as you can see, that's very much like a serum, and what that is doing is creating a really nice film. Feel it.
Oh, feel it. Oh, no, I've got horrible nails. Right. Ew. Oh, it feels slimy. It does, it feels slimy. It feels smooth, but it feels slimy. Oh, it's like silk.
Slimy was not the effect. It's
it feels like silk. Kind of like feather.
So it feels like silk. And what...
It does feel slimy at first.
So what foundation, what moisturizer would this sit on? Well, at the moment, as I've just mentioned, I'm struggling. So I'm using no live ingredients on my face at the moment during the day. So I'm not using vitamin C. or any of the hyaluronic acids. I'm just using a Ren product. So I'm wearing these, and these work well underneath the hydrating primers. Not all moisturizers will sit well on primers, and some work specifically better than others, but I'm showing you the ones that I do. This has no live ingredient in it, but it is really good. The Ren products are really good for my skin. In fact, I am a huge fan, and if you're watching this, Ren, I'd really like a sponsorship. So the other hydrating primer I have is actually called a hydrating vaccine, again in any other name. It's quite a pricey product, and I do really like it. Here's the thing with this primer: it is actually put on after the serum and before your moisturizer. So this is an odd way of doing it, but oh my goodness, it creates that silicone slimy feel to the skin. So the foundations that I will wear with my hydrating primer, well, are pretty much anything. My latest acquisition is the Elizabeth Arden, and I actually did a challenge with this and the MAC, and I love both products. I am going to get the MAC matte foundation. But the Elizabeth Arden said it lasts on the skin for 14 hours. So the thing with the primer, and what it does is it adds the longevity of a foundation. So if you need your foundation to last a long time, then you would definitely need a primer. It keeps it on for longer. This is a fantastic foundation. If you ever get the chance to get a trial sample, try the Elizabeth Arden. And the other types that I will use is a matte foundation. I'm not a huge fan of matte products, but the matte foundation can be worn with an illuminating primer or the hydrating one. So I use the MAC. The next primer, and the one I'm currently using today, because I have skin problem, is what's called a correcting primer. Skin color correcting primer. My absolute favourite. I love Pure products, and this is mine. I just keep replacing it. The primer, you're right, it's green. It looks green. It goes onto the skin green, and you think, green? For some incredible reason, it covers up all the redness, it mixes well, and it creates this barrier, so you're able to cover the red spots, the eczema, which I have. So the green correcting primer is, and the Pure in particular, absolutely lovely. On top of that, you can wear pretty much any foundation. Any foundation at all will work with this. Illuminating primers. What that actually means, I'm going to show you what an illuminating primer looks like. It's got the same feel as all of the other primers, but it's actually got this iridescent glow about it. And what happens then is, if you're wearing a matte foundation, or if you're wearing, or you want the dewy, fresh face look, then you can wear this primer on its own. I've got two that I specifically like, and both are by L'Oreal. The Lumi Magique Base Concentrate de Lumière Pure Light Primer. Really works. I'm going to show you. So it goes on as white. Don't be frightened about the white. Rubs in. And there you go. You can see just about, you can see a glow. You can see the difference. And that creates a beautiful glow on the skin. And this was where I came in with Wayne Goss, when he used a really light foundation with that. This is called Glow Cherie. It doesn't actually say primer on there. It is more a skin perfecting, which is what primer is, a skin perfecting. It just, by any other name, what you're really doing is perfecting the skin, ready for people to see it, for you to look at it, for you to feel your best in your skin. And the illumination, and if you want to wear it during the day, I do, by all means wear it. It looks lovely in the evening, and when you're taking pictures, when you do your selfies or anything like that, the light reflects off it. It's very effective illuminating primer. Pore minimizer and pore fillers, those are other types of primers. Now, I don't have, my skin wouldn't like a pore filler. The one that I will use if I've got exposed pores is the Benefit Pore Professional. A really good filler or minimizer, particularly around your nose. It is like a silicone. It is like a slimy base, but it isn't. You put it on, you wear it with you can wear this with most foundations, and you put it on in quite a thin amount. So the pore refiner, pore fillers, you need to put on very carefully, massage into the face. And I will use that with my Gosh foundation. That's got everything in there everything else that I will need. It has an SPF, it has a concealer, so it has a lot of other additional things. So the benefit, and I do like the benefit primers, it needs to go on quite thin, and you do have to be careful for the pilling around the eyes. For those of you that have an oily skin or oily T-zone, then the very best primer that I would recommend is a mattifying primer. And the mattifying primers tend to be powder form. Let me show you. This mattifying primer has dual purpose. It is a primer and it is a fixing powder. So this is, I like dual purpose things. So as you can see, that's a powder. They're really good, and if you have oily skin, they're really good, and they're good for toning down and mattifying the skin. And that one, and many of them, have a dual purpose. So there we have it. This is my take on primers, the different types of primers, when you'd use them, how you use it, and what foundation works well with it. And if you're going to do lots of selfies or you're out in the evening, which one will be my preference? It may not be yours, and just to remember that this is my view, my take on primers. I wouldn't be without my primers. They are really important, and not everyone is in agreement to that, but for me, and if you're still here, thank you for getting this far. I'd like to thank you. As I say, if you've made it this far, then thank you again. Your support I find a bit overwhelming. We've increased subscriptions recently. By other YouTuber standards, it's small, but to me it's huge, and I want to thank you. If you like this, click the like button. Subscribe to my channel, because every week we're putting out content like this. And if you subscribe and ding the bell, we will remind you, we will let you know when one is uploaded. If you have any comments, write below. And I will also add the handles of my Instagram and my Pinterest. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon. So my introduction to you today, no,
you rub it in and then it feels lovely. Right? When you first asked me to try it, it felt slimy.
She's grumpy. Right.
I'm not grumpy at all.
The